Basically, they had a TEDx Dirigo event, I believe in 2010. And I went, and it was really small because they were just getting started. Adam Burke started it, and I was basically blown away. And so on my way literally out the door, I called my best friend Mary Townsend and I said, you have to come to this next year. It was completely amazing. She's like, okay. So 2011, we both went, and it was larger and bigger venue and just as extraordinary. And during the course of the day, I was laughing because every time someone would finish a talk or a performance, Mary would lean over to me and say, we got to bring this to the kids. The kids have to see this. And at the end, when we left and we were talking, we both agreed, it's all about saving the world and inspiring, and what's your dream and how can you make your communities better. And we're thinking, high school kids need to know this because we were feeling really middle-aged and, not as much energy and not as much time. So we corralled the head of it and a couple speakers that we particularly liked at the end of the day at the reception, the gathering, and we just pitched our idea and said we need to bring this to the youth of Maine, and they said yeah, we great, how do we do it? And that was the start of it. And then after a long story of convincing people and just being super persistent and refusing to go away and talking a lot of teachers and administrators and Mr. Shed into giving it a try with a pilot, we launched the first one in 2012, and it was amazing. The whole concept of TED Talks and TED Global is ideas worth spreading, and by that they mean ways that you can literally change the world. Just incredible ideas, inspiring ideas, actions you can take. It's just, if people who are doing brilliant things, and if you could change the world in some way or find your dream or your passion or your curiosity and follow it, sort of what would you do? And the people who speak, I think, are super inspirational in that often it was irrational. They had this dream, but they didn't know what to do, or they weren't getting paid for it, or they didn't know how to make it start, but they just persisted and they ended up, in amazing places. And so we felt, what better group to give that message and get involved in that than kids who are, or young adults, let's say, who are just starting out on their life journey and, trying to decide the next step. So in particular, we thought pitching it to juniors and seniors made just all the sense in the world. And we also thought that it's a time, when young adults are questioning and they're excited and they're open to new ideas and they're flexible and they sort of are on a journey anyway, and why not introduce them to other brilliant, now famous people who have felt the same way and done the same thing. I totally do. I actually was one of those rare kids who took a gap year, only gap years hadn't been invented, so I just took a year off and went to Europe with sort of no plan and ended up living in Paris and studying French and then hitchhiking, to what you could do back then, all through Europe. So I kind of did that adventure in a way, and it changed my life in so many ways. And so I think affirmatively, yes, I think if I had had a TED event, it would have inspired me even more to take a bigger risk with maybe a little more focus, and set me on a path that I eventually found, but it took longer. And so I think, yes, I wish TED had been around then, for sure. I think part of it's that they bring on extraordinary people. I mean, I say they, I mean we, everyone who organizes and hosts one of these, searches high and low for incredible people. Also, it takes a lot of practice. You have to have a speaker coach. It has to be completely polished. People memorize it, so they're not reading notes. They're super engaged with the audience. There's often audio and visual that goes with it. I mean, this has come out of a whole lot of work, so it's beautiful, it's crafted, it's polished, it's been pared down to its essence, so there's no wasted time. And the theme of it is usually, how I persevered and did something that I felt was profoundly important for either me or my family or my community or the world. And here's where my obstacles, and here's how I, succeeded. And just the other piece is people are often very, very honest and very vulnerable, and they don't get up there like, hey, I'm the expert and I'm telling you what to do. It's much more, they engage the audience and they're like, hey, I'm just a person too, and I stumbled and I was scared and I blah, blah, blah. But in the end, I'm so glad I did it for X reason. We are just getting started, and we have a club, and I'm thrilled to say our very first meeting was packed, and that's just great news because obviously the word's spreading that this is a really fun thing to do. So I would say yes, by all means, if you're interested, please come. We're going to start meeting soon on, I think, every other week kind of basis while we kind of warm up. The work really gets going, honestly, in the late spring and then for sure in the fall. But if you are interested, I'll go see Miss Nilsson. She is the head of it. She's our fairy godmother and leader extraordinaire. And tell her that you want to be put on the list to be made aware of the meetings and so forth. And just show up and see if you think you would like it. And that would be a great start. And if you do, great, because the more people, the better. We love having students involved. That's what makes it all happen. And it truly is a student organized and student led event. So know that you will be busy and challenged and really deeply involved. Your time will not be wasted. So I encourage anyone who thinks this sounds exciting to tell Miss Nielsen and come to the next meeting.